Hi everyone, I'm going to be showing you how to do a seated shoulder press today. So this is a great exercise for improving strength in your shoulders, but also supporting the joints around the shoulders and the elbows. And you'll also be strengthening the muscles in the back of your arms, so your triceps, as well as strengthening your core. And this is going to be super helpful for all sorts of things you might do which require any pushing or pressing, like lifting up little people, pushing doors open, and supporting any sport which require upper body strength, like volleyball or jiu-jitsu or rugby or tennis. The list could go on. So let's get started. So I'm just going to demonstrate first of all with a pair of dumbbells as a sort of standard version. So if you're starting off and you haven't done this exercise in a long time, or you're completely new to it, I would recommend starting fairly light and building up. So I've just picked the lightest dumbbells I've got available, which are 2.5s. You could even just use objects you have around the house, like wine bottles or cans to start with, just to get used to the movement before adding weight. So to set up, I'm just going to sit down into my chair. I'm just going to sit at the edge of my chair here. I'm going to keep my back nice and tall. My feet are going to be about hip width apart. I'm just feeling the ground of the entire, all of my foot there. I'm going to imagine a string from the bottom all the way to the crown of my head, just lifting me up, and my shoulders are going back and down. All right, to get started into the movement, we're just going to make sure we're holding the dumbbells right in the middle, and I'm going to lift them up so my palms are facing forwards. I'm keeping my chest up, and then from here, I'm just going to press the dumbbells overhead, and my palms can slightly rotate in at the top, and then I'm going to control it down. Pressing up, controlling down, pressing up, and controlling down. And that is your seated shoulder press. All right, one thing to make sure that you remember with the seated shoulder press is to try and keep the body as still as you can. So I'm gonna show you from the side. So while we're moving through our arms, we don't want our torso to be moving at all. We want to keep it as stable as we can. So in that position, so I'm thinking about really bracing the core. So imagine someone's about to punch me in the stomach, and I'm just bracing that. Or like when you cough, you're really engaging those core muscles. So keeping the core engaged. I'm trying to keep as still as possible. Pressing up overhead, controlling it down. I'm keeping those elbows slightly in front. All right. And once that's feeling good to you, and you're not experiencing any pain in the shoulders or the elbows, you might be ready to move on to a heavier weight. So do build it up gradually as you get stronger. All right, if you're finding it difficult to keep that back nice and straight throughout the movement, you might benefit from having a bit of a back support. So anything with a fairly high back, which you can lean against, will just support the core a bit more, so you're not sort of straining the back into this movement. You can really just focus on the shoulders here. So you will just have to sit back into your chair a bit more, still trying to engage the core here, so we're not being completely floppy here, keeping the chest up. So you might sort of end up being on your toes a little bit more, which I have to be because of my shorter shins. So you're just going to find the floor, feel balanced and planted here, keeping the chest up, head nice and tall, and then it's exactly the same thing, but you've just got a bit more support from the back. So if you are experiencing any discomfort in the shoulders or the elbows, you might find it helpful to change your grip. So the standard version we've been doing is with palms facing up and then rotating inwards and then coming back down to palms facing outwards. You might find it more comfortable to just keep that neutral grip. So where our elbows are going to be a little bit more in front than sort of out here. So your palms are facing each other. Everything else stays the same. So feet on the floor, feeling nice and balanced, chest up, head tall, and then we're just lifting up, just keeping that neutral grip with your elbows in front. and that might help you just feel a little bit more comfortable in this movement if you are experiencing any discomfort in the standard version. Another great variation of the seated shoulder press you can do is with a band. So similar to the dumbbell shoulder press, but we're just going to be using a band instead of dumbbells. Putting your feet into the band about hip width apart, sitting nice and tall. We're going to just bring the band up and above the chest and the shoulders, and just make sure you've got an even amount of band here on either side. All right, from here, keeping the chest up, crown of the head to the ceiling, elbows in that nice A shape, bracing the core. From here, pressing straight up overhead and control it down. All right, and that is your banded seated shoulder press. All right, another version that you can do of the seated shoulder press is with any objects you might have around the house, which you can safely press over your head. So I've just got a backpack which I've filled with a few different objects. You can fill it with more heavier things to make it harder and keep it quite empty, or fill it with some light things like jumpers or a pillow to make it a bit easier. The movement is going to be very similar to the dumbbell shoulder press. So we're just going to grip our object just firmly on either side. I've got my backpack, which I've just shortened the straps in so things aren't just dangling everywhere. So from here, setup's exactly the same. So feet shoulder width apart, standing nice and tall in the chair, chest up, shoulder blades back and down, A shape with the elbows, and then we're just pressing overhead and back down. There you have it, guys. Do make sure that you pick a variation which you can do with no pain and try and nail that form before you start progressing onto a more challenging version or before you start to increase the weights. Thank you for watching. Do follow us, subscribe for more tutorial videos, and do check out our program 20-Minute Strength, which is designed specifically for beginners, for 3 20-minute sessions a week to get you stronger.